What happens when you're happily working away in your career, thinking you have it all figured out, getting a lot of value from just doing the thing itself, but then suddenly you become a little bit more focused on the results of what you're doing. Soon enough you end up feeling lost as all of the metrics and the numbers and all the results begin to blindside the original value of the task itself. Well, it seems that this is quite a common thing in the modern world, where our careers do start with a genuine interest in something, but over time become overridden by the results of the career and sustaining a lifestyle where survival and paying off the rent become the main priority. It turns out there is a very clear reason for this, and it's due to two different types of motivation. One is intrinsic motivation and the other is extrinsic motivation. Now, intrinsic motivation is all of the internal motivators for doing the task for the sake of itself. It's things like purpose, passion, and joy, and value, and all those things which build up as an immediate result of doing the things that we're doing. Whereas extrinsic motivation is all about attaining things which are outside of us. So these are the results of our work, they are the rewards, they are the weekly salaries and the promotions and all that. Now, the ultimate relationship between these two different motivators would be that our extrinsic motivators should be a byproduct of our intrinsic motivators. We do the work for the sake of itself, and any reward we get back from the world is simply a bonus. So this means that the rewards of our work aren't the main reason as to why we're doing it anymore, which is a scary thing to hear, because if we're really invested in the reward and we think that it is the ultimate thing that we should be striving for, then a letting go of that would bring about a serious change in belief. But it is truly the intrinsic motivators which bear the serious fruit of our labors and not the extrinsic ones. So there's a continuum between intrinsic and extrinsic motivation, and we seem to kind of fluctuate between the two extremes depending on the way that we're thinking or where we are focused in our work. For example, if the perceived need for more money in your life becomes more of a priority, your motivation shifts towards the extrinsic part of the spectrum. But then let's say you become more comfortable in your money and you're focusing more on the joy of the task itself, you shift more towards the intrinsic part of the spectrum. The more intrinsic you can be on the spectrum, the better. So for the last few months doing videos on this channel that have been very intrinsically motivated, but for some reason as of recent it has shifted to extrinsic, and it's been more about growing the channel and figuring out how to boost the numbers and all the YouTuber stuff that's involved with growing a channel. But what I noticed is the more I focused on the numbers and the growing side of things, the more I noticed that the intrinsic motivators were being overridden, because it seemed as though the priority had shifted. But my point is here is that the priority didn't need to shift. I can still focus on pursuing growth without overriding all of the immediate reward I'm getting from doing the thing itself. And the worst part about all of this is when you are extrinsically motivated, the quality of your work severely goes down, because we do our best work when we are getting the most out of it in the moment. When we're feeling better, we have better quality of work. And if we are extrinsically motivated, then we're essentially feeling a pit that we have to fill. And if we're working out of a state of emptiness, it's not hard to imagine that the quality of our work is not going to be as good. So we want to keep our immediate rewards as high as possible while still pursuing the long-term goal of growth and trying to achieve things that are outside of yourself. Because it's essentially all a balance that we're trying to maintain. One of the biggest reasons why things kind of grind to a halt when we move to the side of extrinsic motivation is because the process of the work stops feeling like it's ours. And of course it's the case. We're basically surrendering our happiness and the way that we're feeling to the results of what we're doing, which can fluctuate. Instead of surrendering that away, we would ideally want to keep that sense of control within ourselves. And that's where this idea of autonomy comes in. I first read about this in Feel Good Productivity by Ali Abdaal, which is a great book, I recommend that for sure. And Ali says that when we feel a sense of autonomy, control and ownership over our work, our intrinsic motivation increases. And we've already hinted why that's the case. We're no longer letting the results of our work dictate our sense of accomplishment, but rather the work itself, which we are in control of. So again, it's a recalibration of where we're putting our focus and redefining what success looks like. Yes, we still can pursue the results of our work, but we're basically more careful about how much precedence they take because we're trying to keep the scale more on the intrinsic side. So it's all about learning to claim our work as our own again. So we're trying to recalibrate ourselves to be closer to the why, the core reason as to why we're doing the work in the first place. Because it's just like we've simply forgotten. We don't want our reasons for doing our work to be tainted by the world. Yes, a lot of our passions involve trying to make a living from them, but we can still make the passions the primary thing whilst keeping the making a living part at a distance, depending on the way that we're distributing focus, precedence, and priority to either end of the scale. Sometimes you do need a little bit more of a nudge to release the habits of extrinsic motivation. And a really good quote from Ali Abdaal is that there's no achievement you could possibly achieve that'll make you any happier than you are right now. So that's basically saying that any result that's extrinsically motivated is not going to bring you anything more than a small little blip of satisfaction or joy or whatever it is, because you're going to go back to how you're feeling right now. So it's through quotes like that that we're looking to decrease the intensity of focus on misrepresenting the value of things outside of us. Even if the numbers grow, the emptiness will stay if the work doesn't feel meaningful. And the work won't be meaningful if you're over-focused on the results. It does not matter how high the numbers go. You're still going to feel exactly as you are right now after all the short-term chemicals of reward have worn off. Therefore, it really is about the process. We want to keep most of our investment in the process. Ask yourself, where does the real value lie in what I'm doing? For me, it's the work I'm doing to improve myself and hopefully teaching other people along the way if I learn useful things. But recently it's like I have gaslit myself into thinking that the real value lies in the numbers and it's the growth and it's all those things. And it's that exact kind of belief formation which completely throws the balance. And it's fascinating to me because I know that all of those things don't bring a huge amount of value. But it's like just because I started focusing on that more, I just started losing sight of what already was. So the whole thing is allowing these two things to coexist. If we do notice that this has happened to us and we've lost sight of why we're doing the thing in the first place, it's a really good opportunity to recalibrate. If you were intrinsically motivated to start, try and remember why that was. It could be useful doing some journaling. Don't let the pull of the world taint what you really want to do in life. Try and keep the rewards at a distance and let the primary reward be the thing itself.